Take a journey back in time to see and explore a cave with sparkling crystals and rich with the history of Kentucky's cave rush. This crystal cave was once a tourist attraction and the resting place of the historically famous Floyd Collins, a Kentucky cave explorer and excavator. We've been graciously invited to what may be one of the final trips to tour this special place as it undergoes a restoration project that may last an unfathomable amount of years. Our group is led beyond the former home and ticket booth, down a short trail and descending a fairy tale-like stone staircase covered in soft moss. Upon entering, the group is astounded by the remains of the former coffin of Floyd Collins. We are told the story of Collins's unrest, even in death, as grave robbers literally took the deceased man's leg, and he underwent multiple relocations of his gravesite.
2 days. Still looking for his body. And during the process of that, people come from all over the country or all over the state to
You're fine.
see the Floyd Collins rescue, and it became this big circus that they had outside the cave. And
Are you leaving Monday or tomorrow?
he ended up dying before they started digging a mine shaft to get it down to try and get it out, because they were going to have to dig down. The passage he was stuck in was, just big enough for his body, and he wasn't trapped or anything. What happened is he was pushing his way up this passage and zigzag like this. He pushed on this rock in the ceiling, and it was about yay big, and it dropped down and trapped his ankle. Not crushed it, just trapped his foot on the other side. And nobody could get past him to lift it off, and he couldn't get it out. So he lay there while they started digging this mine shaft to get over, and he died before they could get to him. After that, they left his body in the cave, and about 2 months later, so the church people decided, hey, we need to go get Floyd's body out, and they finished the mine shaft and took him out.
Our guide and Louisville Grotto member, Holly, captivated us with the tales of Floyd's adventures in exploring caves and his mission to find another entry into the great Mammoth Cave. During this time in Kentucky, known as the Cave Wars, the Collins family owned and operated this crystal cave as a tourist attraction. However, its super remote location and sabotage from competitors kept visitors at a low. With his brother Homer's help, Crystal Cave, among many others, had been excavated in hopes of finding a connecting passage into the well-known Mammoth Cave. Ultimately, it would be this quest that would lead to the great explorer's demise when he became pinned at the leg in a squeeze that began closing in on him in a cave known to us as Sand Cave, but never explored. As we descended further into the cave, the lights of our helmet have given sight to the dazzling sparkles of gypsum, lending to this cave's name. As a tourist attraction, guests were encouraged to sign their name along the walls. Though we've heard Floyd himself signed more than 4 times that have been noted, we could not find those signatures on this trip. We did, however, see the remnants of excavation supplies and even a pair of shoes.
Floyd Collins in life and after death, because he was tortured after death too.
And what was the purpose of it?
Well, because he was so famous. At the time, it was the 3rd largest spectacle of in America, not just Kentucky, in America. Because while he was laying there trapped, there was a carnival going on above ground, and they were having fun. They were celebrating. They were making money. You can see they would have been nicer had they not all been broken off. And like here's a $10, and you can see where this has been restored. See the crack in it? And then there's $10 from where they sold that piece for $10, and then it was confiscated by the police.
As a testament to the will of our own kind, just as there were people willing to destroy this cave for riches, there are those willing to dedicate a time of their life to repairing the damages done. In her story, Holly tells us of a time when these cave formations were chiseled off to be sold at roadside stands. When people got word of the impact and illegal nature of the act, they actually showed up in droves, along with cave pieces, to undo what infractions they could. The numbered tips were once broken off, and through careful memory and picture-based maps were restored to their original place with special bonding material. You will see more areas throughout this cave where such dedication drives students and surveyors to piece this enormous cave back to its closest original setting, like a puzzle of a million pieces. As part of the historic value this cave holds, we are brought to the turning point, or the left of the trap, better known as the longest crawl in the world, at about 7,500 feet long. It takes approximately 8 hours to get through and was thought to be another connection to the Mammoth Cave system. It's alleged that this area had not been visited since the late 1950s until 2018, when caving expert Derek Bristol made the crawl all the way to the sound connection point between Side Caves and Crystal Cave, an endeavor which took approximately 20 hours to complete. Floyd's love for caves, or commitment to finding a passage, brought Collins to the entrance of Sand Cave on January 30th, 1925. He was 37 then and had spent upwards of 12 hours a day clearing gravel, sandstone, and lime. Heading into the cave with only a lantern to light his path, Collins crawled through a squeeze that was then described as a chimney no bigger than one's average-sized body, with jagged, protruding rocks that tore at flesh. When his lantern began to fade, Floyd decided to turn back. However, upon his entry into the squeeze, Collins knocked his lantern over and was left crawling in darkness. His foot became pinned by a fallen rock weighing nearly 27 pounds. After weeks of being entrapped in only 60 feet below the Earth's surface, Floyd's family said their goodbyes to their lost son. However, it would not be until 2 months later the shaft intended to rescue Floyd would be completed, and his body laid to a momentary rest in the family plot. Not long after, the property and cave had been sold with a clause that Floyd would be exhumed to be put in a glass case on display within the cave. However, and after an eerily successful run, grave robbers eventually stole Floyd's body and removed the leg that was caught and ultimately cost his life. They tossed Floyd's body in the river, and it would be recovered and replaced within the cave, only this time under chains, where it would remain for another 60 years before finally being laid to rest in a cemetery. The cave, having been purchased by the U.S. government, was closed to the public in 1961, and who remains accessible as part of its special team until today, and for who knows when again. But that will not keep the story of old Floyd Collins from being heard.